we're wrecking! Oh!
And that's the big one!
Oh, my.
Counting at least 15 plus cars that were damaged in that one. Mitz tries to take it 3 wide. Gets into Shire, it's not there. Wow! And Mitz goes absolutely flying. Also takes Flaum out of the race. Goodness gracious! He's a wind sail up there into the catch fence. Wesley Shire's going to go below the line trying to make a move, made a little contact. He's going to force the issue. Miranda's into the wall with James Watson right next to him. It's going to be Wesley Shire.
And I think Shire has been disqualified. I think James Watson is the race winner. After a rather chippy third round, an off week was most certainly in order. But now we get right back to some intense close quarters racing as, for the first time ever, these drivers will slug it out on a short track. It's round number 4 of season number 2 of the RIL Daredevil series, and it is live and in-your-face action tonight from Richmond Raceway. Howdy, folks. My name is Tommy Cook, and we got the one and only, the master, the Matt Williamson, along in the booth here with me tonight, as always. And I mentioned it earlier, but it was a much-needed off week after a wild race at Charlotte a couple of weeks ago. Are you rested up? I know you and I had some flaring tensions towards the end of that. We threw some punches, but we got over it. So are you ready to get after it again tonight?
Well, like you said, it was a much-needed off week. I don't think only for our drivers, but for you and me as well. I just hope that everything is resolved. Like we said, I think there might have been some healing that's happened over the last week and a half, or I guess couple of weeks now, and we're ready to get back to the very relaxing short track racing that we're going to get here tonight.
Oh, very relaxing. But I tell you what, 3 races, 3 different winners, Matt, and the points battle continues to get crazier and crazier as the season rolls along here.
Yeah, it could have been early trouble for the rest of the field last week as Octavio Rondeletto led every lap until the checkered flag dropped in Charlotte. But he slipped down to 9th after the wreck in turn 4. He still hangs on to the points lead as his ultra-consistent teammate, Julian Martinez-Pastor, has closed that gap down to just 200 points heading into tonight. I know, man. Big movers after last week, of course, was our race winner, James Watson. He is now in the title hunt after winning round number 3 for the 2nd season in a row. He jumps up 6 spots to P3. P11 pulled off his first career Daredevil top 5 finish and jumps 15 spots to 11th. But the biggest mover of all was Michael Heinekamp, who finished runner-up in Charlotte. He moved up a whopping 20 positions all the way up to 6th. Now some notable drivers moving the wrong direction include Michael the Turk sliding down a position after he got shunted by Netco towards the end of the race. The Turk only dropped that 1 spot though. Nate Siefker and Nicholas Johnston were 2 of the notable drivers who were wiped out in that memeably large crash on lap 6. They each dropped a couple of spots. Hugo Glaz was another early retiree, and he drops out of the top 10 after Charlotte.
So now we turn our attention to the task at hand, Richmond. The 2 shortest tracks we've run in the 13 races of the RIL Daredevil series up to this point would be the Milwaukee Mile and Rockingham. Now, these 2 together might give us an idea of what we could see here tonight at Richmond.
Yeah, Tommy, both of those races that you just mentioned were tire management races. We saw quite often guys were overheating their tires right around 15 to 20 laps into their runs. Milwaukee ran more like a road course in the fact that there was a lot of separation between cars the longer the run went on, whereas Rockingham was more like a pack race and ended with only 4 cars behind the pace car at the end of the race. That was a wild one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure the drivers are probably hoping for something more like Milwaukee, but maybe some of the fans out there tonight are really looking forward to something more like Rockingham.
Yeah, that's what we're in the business for. We try and give the fans what they want, although I can tell you the drivers at this track in particular, Richmond, maybe not as a popular choice. It's particularly interesting considering its history here in the RIL.
Yeah, so we go all the way back to the second ever race in the RIL Schaefer's IndyCar series, back when it was the R/IndyCar League. 167 laps right here at Richmond, and an ungodly 95 of those laps were ran under the 19 caution periods. I honestly can't even believe that just reading that here. It was the perfect storm between feeling new drivers out on a short track along with 2 fast repairs. Now we may see some bumping and crashing here tonight, but we are at least doing something a little different in that there are 0 fast repairs in the Daredevil series.
Yeah. You get a good look at some of the carnage there. Thanks to Raceverse for the archive footage of that Richmond race. It's up in full on their YouTube channel, so go subscribe to them and watch all the archived RIL Schaefer's IndyCar Series races. They're all better than that one, I can tell you that. But Raceverse is just a few subs away from hitting 1,000, so go and maybe you could be the lucky number 1,000. Ooh. So after all the crashing that you just saw from the 3 races that we've showcased, plus all the crashing that you saw from Charlotte last week, we only added 2 drivers to the pot for the Jacksonville 0-0 Challenge. They were 4th place finisher Julian Martinez Pastor and 5th place finisher DL Lemon. Pastor is the first driver with more than 1 entry. That is his 2nd after he qualified in Auto Club. And with the addition of DL Lemon, you've got Zachary Flaum, Christopher Kresge, Nicholas Isidro, Hugo Galaz, Matt Houston, Neil Lusher, and Michael the Turk, all with 1 entry, with the total pot right now being $10. So thanks to Jacksonville Speedway for that. Again, it is 0 incident points and finishing on the lead lap. That'll get you into the Jacksonville 0-0 pot drawing at the end of the season. It's almost time for qualifying, but before we go queuing, we'll have a chat with our driver to watch, Matthew Short, when we return to coverage of the RIL Daredevil series on Turn 200.
A blind night that uses echolocation, viewing the dark, treacherous world through sound. Trapped in a dungeon, endangered by combatants, where hazards lurk around every corner. Make sound to have vision, or don't and be stealthy. Avoid impaling threats throughout the dungeon to escape. Engage with other prisoners.
Broken I've been hearing about. Could you find the key and unlock my cell?
Free them to fight back with more allies.
Let's take this guy.
The Dungeon Labyrinth has many paths and even more traps. Struggle through the darkness to find your freedom.
Back to it here on Turn 200, just a few minutes away from getting it to the action here on the 3/4 miler in virtual Richmond, Virginia. We are absolutely blessed to welcome in today's Turn 200 driver to watch. That is Matthew Short. It's been a while since you've been here in booth 200. It's been too long. So welcome back. How are you feeling here?
I'm feeling good. This is going to be a difficult race. It's going to be a scary race, but I think this is going to be one of those races where you just have to drive smart.
So, yeah, what's the overall vibe with practice going on right now? What are you thinking here as a driver? What are you going to bring to the table in tonight's action? We'll put it that way.
Well, obviously I haven't done the past 2 weeks of Daredevil races just because of outside sources. So I'm trying to decide whether or not to even qualify. I'm almost thinking about starting from the back and just sort of studying what people are doing and how the overall race is going and not just immediately get in the mix, because I have a feeling a lot of this setup, because it is understeering a lot, especially out of turn 2. It's tricky. If you're impatient, you're going to end up in that wall. So it might be a good idea just to start from the back and watch everybody, but this is a really understeering setup, and it's going to create good racing, I think, but also I think people are going to start getting frustrated and start banging wheels. So we'll see what happens, but we're definitely going to see a lot of big crashes here tonight.
Matt, you got anything for Matt? Oh, wow, that rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Well, he mentioned banging wheels. That was going to be one of my questions. You haven't been here for the last couple of weeks, as you mentioned. There was a bit of a controversial finish last week. or a couple of weeks ago. We had an off week last week.
I heard
of quite a big wreck as well. What is the vibe among the drivers right now? Has healing happened since we had an off week, or is everybody still kind of maybe a little worked up about what happened a couple of weeks ago?
At least with the group I run with, which is, a lot of the top end guys, overall it seems like it's healed. I mean, this is the nice thing about Daredevil. This is a friendlier series. I mean, we're all sim racers. We're nothing but a group of frustrated racing car drivers who never got a chance in life. And even when it gets friendly, we all want to win. We race for competition, and it happens. But it definitely seems like things have cooled, and we'll see how it goes. I'm sure if we get another sort of wheel banging moment with certain drivers, we may have another explosion, but the vibe I'm getting is we're all chilled out now.
Well, that is certainly good to hear, and it is time for qualifying. So, three-time podium finisher in Daredevil racing action, Matthew Short, thanks for the time here tonight. Best of luck to you. We're going to watch for you to work your way from the back to the front then.
Thank you, gentlemen. You have a good night.
Absolutely. It is now just about that time to get after it here in Richmond. 3/4 of a mile. It's the first short track in RIL Daredevil Series history. We got cars on track for qualifying right now. Top time that we saw in practice was Octavio Rondeletto with an 18.333 second lap. That is an average speed of 147.275 miles an hour. That is zippy for a track of this size.
Yeah, I mean, this track with these cars is just really fast, and it makes it really easy to make mistakes, too. I mean, I think, this is kind of the key to every race here, but it's most important here in this race, I think, to just minimize your mistakes that you make yourself, because it is a tricky track with these cars.
So we've got a couple of minutes left in qualifying here. Right now, it is debuting Rhett Nichols with the top time here with an 18.390, so just a little bit off of the pace set by Octavio Rondeletto in practice. The current points leader is second quickest right now in qualifying. And just as I say that, the reigning champion Dakota Domain goes to second quick on the board with an 18.425, still chasing Rhett Nichols' 18.39. So a great lap right out of the gate for Rhett Nichols.
Yeah, and practice, they have an hour of practice before qualifying starts, or just about an hour. And, watching practice, I mean, not only were our drivers having a little trouble just handling themselves, but also having trouble handling each other, because just the way the braking zones and everything work, people were getting into the back of each other quite often. So you're gonna have to give a lot more than you're gonna take here tonight, I think, to be successful.
So we have 23 drivers registered for this race, although I believe another driver who's going to make his debut here tonight, Jeremy Lapanis, has disconnected already. So we'll see if he makes it back in time. Still got a couple of minutes here before we get going here in Richmond, but it is still Rhett Nichols, and now returning Gavin Sanders has the second fastest time. Right now looking to lock himself onto the outside of the front row. Bruno Miranda is on the track. He is on lap number 2. His first lap was 14th fastest overall out of the 15 drivers who have taken the time thus far. Miranda rocking number 10 this week after his normal number 77 went off the board. It went back to Joshua Tucker. So now Bruno Miranda is 7th quickest.
And you mentioned that we have more drivers here than what, who has qualified. Only 15 have taken a qualifying time. Matthew Short mentioned that he hasn't been here for the last couple of weeks, so he's just kind of looking to ease back into the series. But quite a few other drivers as well, especially, there's some quick drivers down here that have opted to not take a qualifying time. Hugo Galaz, Michael DeTurk, Donchak, Lemon, all of these guys have decided to not take a qualifying time here. So it looks like they are thinking this is going to be maybe a little bit of carnage here at the beginning, and they're wanting to stay out of it. We saw this strategy being played out at both Charlotte and Auto Club. So we'll see what happens and how it plays out, if that actually helps them. But we saw at Auto Club, a wreck started kind of towards the middle of the field, and some of those guys in the back got caught up in it, so it did not really work out.
It could start anywhere at any time, and with about 50 seconds left to go in qualifying, Neil Lusher has just connected, so we'll see if he makes it here in time to start on the grid, or if he's going to have to start from the pits here tonight. But like you mentioned, DL Lemon, top 5 finisher last week, Michael DeTurk, a race winner here this season, and the winningest Daredevil thus far in series history. Hugo Galaz was in the top 10 in points up to last week, didn't take a time. Matthew Short, Charles Grove, who's debuting here tonight, Peter Donchak. Those drivers who did not post a qualifying time, as qualifying has concluded, and we are ready to rock and roll in Richmond here tonight. Your pole sitter is going to make his first start here tonight with a 18.390. That is Rhett Nichols out of Fairmont, West Virginia, and car number 55, who will lead the field to the green. On the outside pole, it's his first race since Milwaukee last season. That is Canada's Gavin Sanders driving the Sunset Arctic Games Team Racers number 14. On row number 2 on the inside, it's your reigning Daredevil champion out of a cornfield in Indiana. That is the Dakota Demigod, Dakota DeMaid, in car number 1. To his outside, the current points leader out of Argentina, car number 24, Octavio Rondeletto. The 9th place finish last week was his worst on the season thus far. Nate Siefker on the inside of row number 3 out of Oskaloosa, Iowa, in car number 2. Starting to his outside is last week's race winner at Charlotte. That is James Watson, the Californian, starting in P6. The Brazilian to the inside of row number 4 is Bruno Miranda in car number 10, and to his outside is his teammate, second in the points, after 3 straight 4th place finishes to open the season. That is Spain's Julian Martinez Pastor in car number 96. Rounding out your top 10, actually on row number 5 on the inside, this will be the driver out of Nashville, Tennessee. He waited out the storms today, and he is here today. That is the driver of the Roch's Way Bakery, number 67, Christian Jasper. Now rounding out your top 10 is the driver of car number 86 out of Charlotte, North Carolina. That is Bless Lopez. Starting in P11, the driver that was disqualified at the end of last week's race is Wesley Shire, car number 16. To his outside, one of the drivers that was wrecked out early out of Alabama, it's Alex Teeter in car number 17. League proprietor Christopher Kresge starts in P13. To his outside is Christopher Hill in 14. Row number 8, if I can do math, Nicholas Isidro starts in 15th with DL Lemon to his outside. And in spot number 17, Neil Lusher, if he makes it to the grid in time, he'll have Joshua Tucker to his outside. Rounding out your top 20 is Hugo Galaz and Michael DeTurk. Matthew Short and the debuting Charles Grove, 21st and 22nd. Then it'll be Peter Donchak and Jeremy Lapanis. If they are here, I believe Donchak just lagged out just a couple of seconds ago. So as the cars roll around here, what are we going to be watching for today in virtual Richmond Raceway, Matt?
Yeah, so we're looking at some of our weather conditions here. Not too bad of a track temperature, currently at 104 degrees Fahrenheit. As always, there is no lucky dog, no fast repair. A 20x incident limit. There is a 10x warning, which is a pass-through penalty. And we are looking at a pit window, if we can go green, of 70 to 75 laps. But I have a hard time believing that we're going to make it that many laps without an incident, so we will see.
As the cars roll around here, I forgot we do 2 pace laps. I could have slowed that down a little bit. Now we got a little bit of fill time. That's everything you get on paper here. Now, what are you thinking is going to happen?
Well,
what's just your gut instinct getting into this race?
Kind of like we've alluded to in the pre-show of this race. Our previous RIL Richmond race was quite chaotic, and we saw in practice with these cars as well, just a very, very difficult track to go fast. I mean, you can obviously kind of lay back a little bit, and it's a little bit easier. That might be a strategy for some of these guys here, guys and girls tonight, but we'll see if these Daredevils can wrangle these cars here.
It's time to push limits and bust rivets. The Daredevils are on the move. Richmond for 125 laps. Clean through turn 1 so far. And it's going to be Rhett Nichols up front with the race lead on the opening lap. Single file through about the top 6 or 7 cars, and now everybody gets back into line all throughout the top 10, all the way back to Bruno Miranda in P10. Challenge from Wesley Shire to Christopher Hill, I believe, for spot number 11. Actually, for spot number 10, as Shire, really the only car that is not tucked in right on the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, and a couple of battles back here. Like you mentioned, Wesley Shire, Christopher Hill. Bless Lopez is also back there with Nicholas Isidro. That's kind of where some passing action is happening. Currently, the rest of the field is pretty much single file at this point.
And Peter Dunchak has reconnected. He had to start from the pit. Says, whoa, Rhett Nichols off the pace up front. Just had a big moment out of turn number 4. Drops back to 3rd. Still the leader at the line, but right now the race leader is Gavin Sanders, as Rhett Nichols is battling for spot number 3 now with Dakota DeMade. So it's Sanders leading, Rondeletto, Nichols, DeMade, and Siefker, your top 5. It's James Watson in 6th, Pastor, Miranda, Jasper, and Hill, your top 10.
We're getting bunched up a little bit right here behind DeMade. Siefker is right on his wing, trying to find a way around him. Siefker is going to try the top side, but can't make it work. We're going to try to get a run here. Just a difficult track to pass at, which we have seen quite a bit here in the Daredevil series so far this year. The ovals that we have ran have been quite difficult passing tracks. So, those qualifying positions have been really important here. As we can see, Siefker was right on DeMade, and with the arrow and just the way the track is racing, very difficult to pass.
And what was interesting is when we had Matthew Short in the booth earlier, he was talking about understeering, I believe. When I had long runs, had a problem with oversteering, actually. So every driver may be facing a different problem here in how they drive the cars and actually how they manage their tires. I think that was the main problem, is I don't know how to keep a set of tires under the car. But it's interesting. Different drivers may be facing different things here on the same track in the same conditions. So we'll have to see how long these drivers can go. You and I were kind of talking during the break that it's 70 to 75 laps on fuel. But you had mentioned, I wonder if the tires are going to make it that long, and that is a really good point. These drivers, if they actually have to go the full length of the fuel window, they may be screaming for some new tires.
Yeah, you and I talked about that in practice before we went live with our pre-race show. We were talking about what the fuel window is going to be, or will we even make it there? First of all, because of incidents, but second of all, because this track's going to be really hard on these tires for these drivers. And I don't know if they'll want to go all 70 to 75 laps.
And the
we have
caution
a
is
flag out.
Caution is out, and so it begins as the call over the radio.
And it looks like it was Bless Lopez who is slow behind the field.
And I will head back and see what we've got here as you load up a replay. And what I think you're going to see is an overheated right rear tire. It's not unlike anything that we saw at Milwaukee or Rockingham last year, which is why we put those little bits in our pre-race show.
And that's
Bless
Lopez here in the white 86 machine. And as Tommy mentioned, just a single car self-spin. Quite fitting, as we were just talking about tire wear. And, we kind of mentioned in the pre-race show that 15 to 20 laps in, that's kind of when we saw it happening at some of our previous short oval races. And we only got through, I think that was maybe lap 13 or so, and it already started rearing its head.
So that is the longest opening green flag stint on an oval this season, and it was 12 laps. Incredible. Have a couple of people on pit road, not a whole lot. Neil Lusher, Charles Grove, as well as DL Lemon, and of course Bless Lopez as well, getting some extended service to that car. So in the opening few laps, we had Rhett Nichols leading the way in his very Daredevil start. But then it is Gavin Sanders who now leads the way. And I don't even want to bring up, I think, the curse that we have on Gavin Sanders, because it seems to be going his way right now. But it always seems to be going his way, and it never does anytime that we're broadcasting a race that he's driving in. So let's hope that this ends tonight and Gavin Sanders can get a good result here on Turn 200. It's about time.
Yeah, and shout out to Gavin Sanders for a great qualifying run and finding his way up to the front. He hasn't run every race here in the Daredevil series, so quite a drive for him to be up front and leading our pack here. And the way that it's shaping up with being so difficult to pass, I think these restarts are going to be quite chaotic, because that might be one of the only places that you get a chance to make up a couple of positions at a time. So we'll want to keep an eye on these. These might be something to watch here.
Looking for some big movers here in this race. Of course, Gavin Sanders is up one spot from the outside pole. Octavio Rondeletto has moved up 2 spots. Christopher Hill has moved from 14th to 10th so far, so 4 spots for him. 5 spots for Michael the Turk from 20th to 15th. But 15th, you and I have alluded to it many times throughout the season. Anything past about 6th or 7th place is really not the kind of point stay that you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, you get down there to, I think, 9th and 10th might get 200 and 100 points, respectively, or it might be 200 and 150. I don't remember exactly. So, once you get past those positions, you're really getting almost nothing. So you really need to get a top 10 here if you want to be in the championship hunt.
Tonight's Richmond race for the RIL Daredevil Series is brought to you in part by the TNT Shock Series. It's a PM18 Indy Oval League, and the series starts on November 1st. The Discord link is in the YouTube description if you're watching live tonight on YouTube. And if you're watching live with us here tonight on Turn 200, leave us a comment, leave us a shout. Hit us a subscribe either on Twitch or on YouTube. Hit a follow on Twitch. Hit a like on the stream. We'd appreciate it all, and we love ya, and thanks for stopping by. We've got quite a few laps to go here in tonight's proceedings, coming to lap number 18 of 125. Did we just have a double file restart?
I believe we did, which we
have we ever had one before?
I don't remember ever having one here in the Daredevil series, so I don't know if that was maybe a mistake on setting up the server, or
now
if
what
that
it
was
could have been
was
a single file line might have been too long and might have put everybody right into traffic. As the caution is out already, Bless Lopez, I think, is off the back again.
Yeah, and he found his way into pit road already and is actually going to hit escape and jump out of the car, so maybe disconnecting here.
Oh, I think he may have had something go bad with his wheel set. Actually, no, it did kind of look like an overcorrection. It just was a straight right angle into the wall. You don't see those very often. So it's been a tough night for Bless Lopez to kick off the race here.
Yeah, I mean, just gets loose going into that corner, and like you said, overcorrection and just straight up into the wall and heavy damage. So I'm sure that's going to probably be the end of the night for Bless Lopez here, which is unfortunate.
And Bless is coming off of his best finish of the season last race at Charlotte, an 8th place finish. 3rd place finish, best overall finish for him at Most Sport last year. And has showed a lot of speed in just about every race, but sometimes it's just not your night. And that seems to be the case here tonight for Charlotte, North Carolina's Bless Lopez. Is 2 early incidents for him, and that may be the end of the night. Well, I mean, that first run seemed like it was shaping up pretty well.
That is true, and Lopez was on cold tires there, so may have just underestimated, how loose those might be for the first lap or two.
Sure.
So that could have definitely been a part of that. We're gonna see. Nobody in the front of the field here has come to pit. So if we run another 10, 15 laps or so here, those tires might be pretty rough for our drivers, so that's going to be something to keep an eye on here.
I think of the drivers that I know for sure were on pit road under that previous caution. Charles Grove is the highest of them in 19th. Did have some jostling in the mid-pack there on that restart as Christopher Hill went from 10th down to 12th. He got passed by Wesley Shire and Nicholas Isidro.
And it looks like Neil Lusher is going to be our only car to come in and pit for tires and maybe some fuel as well.
And you mentioned it earlier, it is unlimited tires to make up for the 0 fast repairs. It's common, the misconception before the race that we had to debunk, despite how ridiculous the notion was that Christopher Kresge said there were going to be 8 fast repairs for this race tonight. And I was about to cry, honestly. So we kept it at 0, though. It might be a little harsh for the drivers, but it does speed things along a little bit. And Christopher Kresge has now changed the restart procedure to single file.
Yeah, so it must have just been a mistake on his part. Either that, or he was trying, might have wanted to try something different and decided against it mid race here. So
now, credit to whatever happened. It wasn't the restart's fault that the crash happened.
Correct. Yes.
But I understand. It did seem very random, but I'll go with my theory that they didn't want the tail of the field to be too close to the front of the field, even though we only have now 21 cars. And there's a lot of booing over the radios now, directed directly towards Christopher Kresge. Nicholas Isidro, Nate Siefker are all very angry. Dakota Domain said that he wanted 3 wide starts. But it will be back to single file here.
Well, I know there's a lot of tongue-in-cheek there in that chat, but I mean, as we mentioned, restarts are probably going to be one of your main spots to pass. So there probably is a little bit of truth behind, the words that are being thrown at Kresge right now.
It is Gavin Sanders leading the way. In control of this one since about lap 6, if I remember correctly. He leads Octavio Rondeletto and gets a great jump as the green flag is out. Dakota Domain did not get a good restart. Nate Siefker actually had to put on the brakes not to get a penalty as he was trying to pass underneath of him. That's going to cost Siefker 2 spots on this restart as well.
Yeah, and they're
Watson and Pastor have both gotten past Nate Siefker now.
Yeah, they got bunched up real bad right there when Siefker had to hit on the brakes. And like you said, that purple car of James Watson and Julio Martinez Pastor both got by Siefker. And Siefker's got another couple of cars right on him as he's going to look to the inside of Pastor here.
Opens things up and takes the spot move. Nate Siefker now up to spot number 6. As Sanders leading Rondeletto by 0.3 of a second. Rhett Nichols is closing in on both of these drivers as well. And these are your podium runners as they go. About a second behind these guys is your reigning champion, Dakota Domain, who has not gotten off to a very good start here this season, a 4th place run. Now, credit to him. This is about the point in the season last time that he really kicked on the burners and was starting to get hot. And he won at Rockingham. So this is that style of track. I believe he was runner-up at Milwaukee as well. So this is sort of the hybrid between those two. And so he's running pretty well here tonight in P4.
And we just saw another one of the Juncos Esports drivers, Bruno Miranda, pass Christian Jasper. He's now in the 8th spot right behind his teammate in Pastor. And Rondeletto still stays in 2nd. So another good showing from the Juncos Esports team so far here tonight.
Tell you what, Rondeletto may podium his way into an early championship if he keeps this up. The win at Auto Club to kick off the season, to kick off his Daredevil career. And something I did not realize until we launched into the session today, which naughty me, because all of the Juncos Esports drivers have just ungodly I ratings on ovals. And I had mentioned, I think at Charlotte last week, that maybe they were, trying to familiarize themselves with ovals still. But no, that was silly. That was fake news for sure, because they are very good on ovals, and they have continuously shown that this season.
Yeah, silly Tommy. There's a couple of them that have over 6,000 I rating on ovals. And the other one I think is around 4,500 to 4,700. So, yes, quite a bit of speed on the ovals there for the Juncos Esports team.
Yeah, so sorry to the Juncos group there. My apologies. Is Rondeletto running second to Gavin Sanders, the Newmarket, Ontario Canadian driver, is runner-up in Season 4 of Schaefer's IndyCar Series competition by just 3 points. Was leading at Milwaukee last season and spun out after overheating his right rear tire from the lead, retired from the race. That is the last time we've seen him in Daredevil competition, so he is back for the first time since race number 4 last season.
Wow. And we mentioned in qualifying there were a lot of drivers that elected to not qualify. And in my mind, I'm thinking that they were worried that there were going to be some wrecks early in the race, and now they might be thinking, oh boy, we might have made a mistake here. We're going to have to start passing some drivers as Tucker is going to get around Alex Teeter. Hasn't cleared him yet, actually, and is now going to complete the pass.
So that is for spot number 14. Welcome back to Joshua Tucker. He's missed the last race last season, and missed the first few races this season. Was back in Charlotte and went out on lap number 6, not due to anything of his own doing, as that was, as you said, a 15-plus car crash, wiped out half of the field. Joshua Tucker was one of the victims in that crash that did not get any time to get a shout out. So welcome back to Joshua Tucker and the Let's Race group there. Yeah, that was an insane crash here. As now a little bit of separation between Sanders and Rondeletto now, about 0.6 of a second between the two. Probably not too far removed from Sanders getting into some lap traffic. Neil Usher, Charles Grove, Christopher Kresge will be the first 3 victims to go a lap down under green if things continue the way they are. Sanders, Rondeletto, about 0.7 of a second ahead of Rhett Nichols in third. Then it is Dakota DeMade in spot number 4. James Watson rounds out your top 5. Nate Siefker, Julian Martinez Pastor, Bruno Miranda, Christian Jasper, Christopher Hill back into the top 10. As Sanders had a wild corner entry there, and Rondeletto cut it to just about a car length and a half. So maybe the tires started to be an issue here for Sanders, and Rondeletto has been conserving. We'll have to wait and see how this shapes up here.
Yeah, we're quickly closing the gap on running about 15 green flag laps again here. So you have to imagine that those tires are getting worn, they're heating up. I am very curious. We haven't seen a whole lot of incidents yet so far. Honestly, I thought we would see more like what we saw at Rockingham, but hasn't been the case. So we'll see what's going to happen here when we get deeper into these runs.
Sanders is now definitely within at least half of a lap of catching some lap traffic here, so we'll have to see where they decide to go, or if Sanders is going to try and make his own way around them without any assist. But he has opened up just a little bit of a gap now between he and Rondeletto. It was down to about 2.5 tenths. It's now up to 4.5 as they approach, I believe that is Neil Lusher. So Crusher Lusher is going to go a lap down here. Stays out of the way beautifully. And next up for Gavin Sanders will be Peter Donchak, who is 2 laps down after disconnecting right at the start from the sim. And he's had a rough couple of races. Poor Peter. He we mentioned him crashing on the pace lap last week. What had happened was his pedals disconnected from his wheel.
Yeah,
so he lost all throttle and brake control and just decided to bend it into the inside wall.
Right, yeah, we mentioned it. We saw that something had... Whoa, and we got a spin here!
Out.
And that's your points leader!
Oh my!
Oh, excuse me,
No,
not
it's not.
the points leader. It's the teammate of your points leader. This is gonna be Pastor that spun out. I'm not sure if it was just I think it was just a single car spin again.
It was a solo. Yep, solo spin. Like we've seen many times, these tires just get hot on corner entry. If you are really not on top of it, it will get away from you. And he hit the wall. Not significantly, but not insignificantly either. He is definitely going to have to look at this car.
We can see just like what happened to Lopez twice, just gets loose in the middle of those two turns. And you're right. I mean, I would say pretty significantly hit the wall. It looks like he's probably got some right front wheel damage and maybe right here as well. So I would be surprised if he has the pace that he had previously, as we're going to see
pretty much everybody is
pit.
Yeah, everybody is on pit road except for Bruno Miranda, who will inherit the race lead. Christian Jasper and DL Lemon have all stayed out. So those will be your top three now. The other two drivers are waiver rounds in Lusher and Donshak. Gavin Sanders wins the race off of pit road, so he will now come out in fourth. Rhett Nichols overtakes Octavio Rondeletto. So it'll be Nichols in spot number 4, Rondeletto in 5th, and James Watson in P6, Dakota Made 7th, Christopher Hill in 8th, Nate Siefker in 9th. Michael DeTurk went from 15th to 12th under green on that last run. He is now going to be scored in P10. Assuming that Miranda, Jasper, and Lemon do not come down pit road now, which I don't think they did. So they will be out front on 50-lap old tires.
Yeah,
actually, did Lemon pit on the first pit stop?
Yes.
Pit stop, excuse me.
Yes,
I think he did. So he'll have, 35-lap old tires-ish.
I'll tell you what, let's see. I believe I have a.
Oh, yes, you do. You've got some new gadgets.
Here.
We don't have to do that math ourselves anymore. That's lovely.
We're gonna check our stint length here.
And Donchak is not going to take away Brown. He just pit. Go ahead.
Looks like it's been about 29, 30 laps now that since Lemon came in the last time. It looks like he actually pit twice. So he pit on the first incident, and then when Lopez went around again, I think he actually pit again.
Gotcha.
So he's at about 30 laps on this stint so far.
Hey, Lemon's got a hot hand on the floor. I tell you what, he got his first top 5 finish in Daredevil competition last week and qualified for the Jacksonville 0-0 pot at the end of the season. He's got one entry into that. All right, let's pay some bills here real quick. Just because the action has stopped in Indy for the year doesn't mean that you shouldn't visit Speedway Indiana. If you find yourself around IMS this offseason, carve out a little time to visit the title sponsor of the RIL Daredevil series, Daredevil Brewing Company. Their brewery and tap room is open Monday to Friday, located in Speedway, Indiana, right across the street from AJ Foyt Racing, just south of IMS. If you're not in the mood for some brew as much as you are for some good food, check out the restaurant Daredevil Hall, open Tuesday to Sunday on the northeast end of Indianapolis. In addition to their tap room and restaurant, you can find their products all across Indiana in restaurants and grocery stores, including the #1 best-selling Indiana-made IPA, Liftoff. Even if you won't be in Speedway anytime soon, you can still place an order online at daredevilbeer.com. Be sure to get on their social media and thank Daredevil Brewing Company for supporting the Revolution Indy League and this group of drivers. So I believe we're going green this time. It is lap number 53 when they come around to the line this time. It's Miranda, Jasper, and Lemon on older tires. Sanders, Nichols, 4th and 5th on the freshies. As Sanders up the track just a little bit, Rhett Nichols is going to take the peek to the inside. That's for spot number 4. Rondeletto is there as well. He was looking to maybe go between them, but there's definitely not enough room. As while these guys get their tires up to temperature, the front three who already have tires up is all around. That is Christian Jasper. One more around.
Whoa!
Trying to avoid the accident, I think. That was one of the Team Watson cars. Not sure who.
Tucker.
It was, because he just went to the pits. Actually, Tucker got involved with Dakota DeMade. There was another crash. DeMade and Tucker got together. Tucker went flipping down the back straightaway.
DeMade's pulled off onto the apron. It looks like he might have quite a bit of damage. We're going to go ahead and see if we can find exactly what happened here.
Oh, my goodness.
This is going to be Christian Jasper first.
I want to say hi to Cozy Freckles and Race First hanging out with us here in the Twitch chat tonight. Though I'm sure Cozy Freckles not very happy to hear Dakota DeMade has been involved here.
And Jasper was a self-spin. Now we see DeMade is sideways right there. And here comes Tucker.
I think the car that spun to avoid Christian Jasper was our boy Matthew Short, unfortunately. But he didn't make any contact with anybody, so he should be okay. But yeah, DeMade and Tucker, quite the collision there. Both of those cars might be junked. Tucker's especially.
Yeah, we can see DeMade is actually behind Tucker here at the moment before that spin. And
DeMade is disconnected.
Wondering if he got hit by somebody. Oh, yeah, he got hit by... Who is that?
That's Joshua Tucker.
That was Joshua Tucker. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought Joshua Tucker was in that other purple car. I suppose that
No,
was...
that was Matthew Short. That was
Okay.
Short spun to avoid Christian Jasper there.
My apologies.
It's all right. We'll all figure it out.
I knew they were all on Team Watson. I just assumed they all had purple cars. So.
Yeah. But oh yeah, what a hit there for Dakota DeMade, and the good day goes right down the drain for the reigning champion. So Bruno Miranda has stayed out, but now he is ducking below the yellow line and is going to pit this time.
Yeah,
so that
57 laps on those tires. That was probably a much needed pit stop.
DL Lemon is still out on the track, though, on slightly less older tires than what Bruno Miranda had, but still pretty old tires. Actually, Lemon did come down to pit there. My apologies. Nevertheless, it is now Rhett Nichols back in control of this race. So he certainly has the pace at the beginning of the run. Gavin Sanders seems to come in towards the middle, and then towards the end, Rondeletto was way faster than Gavin Sanders right before that caution came out. So I think all three of these drivers covered different points in the tire run, so we'll have to see now with one kind of full run under their belts if they've got anything figured out.
We saw the clouds come out there for a little bit. Our track temperature was, quite a bit over 100 degrees Fahrenheit and is now dipped down to 99. So the track might get even faster here. So we'll see how crazy it's going to get with an even faster track now.
Yeah, I was surprised in the span of time it took me to go back and see what happened in the crash and then come back to real time. 3 and 4 was like thunderstorm dark for some reason.
Well, the sun's come back out now, so the track has cooled off a little bit and may come back to temperature here in the next 10 minutes or so.
I'm sure the drivers are just upset that happened under caution and not under green when they might have been able to save these tires for just a skosh longer. But now up front, Rhett Nichols is back in control of the restart. Well, he gets a great jump on Gavin Sanders there as, trying to make a pass is Watson and Hill, going for spots number 3 and 5 respectively. But they've all fallen back into line.
Look who's made it up some more spots. Michael DeTurk all the way up to 6th
right.
now. I was curious how he was going to do because remember, he won the Milwaukee race last season and he elected to not qualify. So after realizing that there aren't going to be as many cautions as we might have thought, he decided he needed to get his butt in gear and try to get up there towards the front.
He is on a 20th to 6th place run right now, so all of that pretty much coming under green. So a fantastic run either way for Michael DeTurk thus far. After he was pretty unceremoniously disposed of in the Charlotte race. I mean, the absolute worst netcode I have ever seen on the iRacing service. I mean, he had a lane plus between he and Rondeletto when they were battling for the lead, and he got the boot into the wall anyway. So a good run, a good recovery run, rather, for Michael the Turk here tonight, even if it stops here at P6. As Hill underneath of Watson to try and put himself into fourth. He has him, but he's not clear yet. Now he's clear heading into turn one.
Yeah, great battle there for a couple of laps. Just kind of stayed underneath of him. Very clean racing there between those two drivers. Love to see that. As we've now made it past the halfway mark in the race, 65 of 125 laps have been completed here in just a moment.
And my sim racing app is telling me that we are still good to get every lap in. I would imagine with probably a couple more cautions, the amount of laps that we get in will to drop just a little bit. But with officially 18 minutes and 40 seconds left, we should be good to go if we stay green from here on out. If we don't, then we'll start lopping off some laps here.
And Siefker has made a pass on Alex Teeter. That's going to put Siefker in the 8th position now.
Good run for Alex Teeter here tonight.
Yeah, we saw Teeter in practice get a little bit beat up by some of our drivers here. So
it seemed like a slapstick routine. He came out of the pits and would get launched into the catch fence and then come back out on track and get hit into the inside wall. And oh my gosh, I was just waiting for him to get out of the car and step on a rake.
So it's definitely good to see him having a pretty decent run here.
And he's had a couple of good runs going and has gotten thwarted by something out of his control. He got wrecked at the end of the Charlotte race to bring out the last caution. Was running towards the front in Auto Club and picked up 2 back-to-back speeding penalties, which I guess is a little more in his control than getting wrecked by somebody else. But good to see Teeter running back in the top 10 here tonight. As Rhett Nichols is still in control of this one. Gavin Sanders has maintained a pretty steady margin between he and the race leader of around 0.4 of a second, give or take, about a 500th or so. Actually, Sanders has started to just inch his way towards Rhett Nichols now for the race lead, but still not quite within striking distance as of yet.
And we saw there Julian Martinez Pastor, who has some damage, had a little bit of a moment there, pretty much right in front of our leader of Nichols. Likely going to get lapped here in just a couple of laps as he actually is blinking.
He's blinking out. Oh my gosh. I hope he knows that he is... okay. I think he's gone.
Blinked out completely.
Yeah, I think he just disconnected, actually. So... yeah, Pastor's streak of consecutive fourth-place finishes is going to come to an end here tonight. As, he is now being shown 2 laps down, so I think he is gone for good. He was the runner-up in the championship coming into tonight as well, Rondeletto, with another fantastic effort and being flanked by drivers who have really not run any races or had any good results. So Rondeletto is just looking to sail away in this championship if he could hang on to 3rd or even improve to 2nd or 1st. The only other drivers that I'd say to watch out for would be Watson, DeTurk, and Siefker in 6th, 7th, and 8th. They have a decent chunk of points heading into the evening, but they need to get ahead of Rondeletto and fast if they want to reel him back in here as we get towards the middle of the season.
Well, if the Turk has a decent finish here tonight, we have some road courses still coming up this season, and we know how he drives on those. So, that's definitely still well within his reach to capture this championship, as the front 3 have closed together a little bit here. Under
Rondeletto,
a second, I believe, for all of them.
Yeah, Rondeletto is inching his way back in, and Sanders still kind of hanging in that 3.5, 4/10 bubble. Not quite able to get in there. Maybe just laying back a little bit, not pushing the issue, keeping the temperature out of those tires. we will have to see if, as the run goes along, if Nichols is able to hold on to it. Remember, that's how he lost the lead at the beginning of the race. Had a couple of bobbles into turn number 1, and just like that, his advantage was gone, and Sanders was able to pounce and overtake him. But no such occurrence has happened yet here in this run, as lap number 80 is going to go up on the board this time. One lap car ahead of Nichols here is Charles Grove, who is making his debut here tonight. Did not even see that he had joined the server or the league or anything. So welcome, Charles Grove. And your welcoming gift, unfortunately, is going a lap down under green here at Richmond. But boy, what a tough test for your first start. As man, I think he just got into the wall there out of turn 4.
I was just going to say, I think he grazed the wall a little bit there.
Man, I guess to try and push yourself to the limit here is a great introduction to the Daredevil series. As Christopher Hill now gets past Charles Grove as well. He may be trying to close back up into this battle as well. Christopher Hill had some good runs last season, ran runner-up at every road course to Michael DeTurk in Season 1. And Charlotte was the first time that we saw him last week, picked up damage in that first crash, and then crashed on pit road after getting a wave around. It was about as weird of an exit as I've ever seen in a race, but it's been a good recovery thus far for Christopher Hill, who is normally not self-proclaimed not an oval driver, but you would be able to tell from some of the results that he's posted in Daredevil competition and some of the great runs that he's had in oval races. So it's really the top 4 that have separated themselves now from everybody else, as you have to go almost 2 seconds behind Christopher Hill to find James Watson in 5th. He's got a little bit of a gap now between he and Michael DeTurk, who is being hounded by Nate Siefker for that 6th spot. Wesley Shire is in close proximity as well in spot number 8. There goes Siefker underneath of Michael DeTurk, and he is going to take that spot.
Turk almost got into the outside wall, it looked like there. Siefker had been behind Turk for quite a while there. Really chose his move well, as he was just kind of sitting behind him and finally got his run and definitely made it stick. He's gapped him already by just a little bit here, as Wesley Shire is now going to be behind Turk and closing the gap, maybe trying to calculate a move himself.
I tell you what, the run from turn 2 onto the back straightaway is probably my least favorite corner straightaway transition in all of oval racing here at Richmond. This is it's just tough. The only one that I think is tougher is turn 2 to the back straightaway in Rockingham. So it seems like the backstretch is on an angle there, and I always seem to hit the wall and ruin my race. So go figure.
Yeah, that wall here out of turn 2 at Richmond just comes up really quick. It just doesn't seem like the walls should be, that close. It seems like it should be a little bit wider, and it just kind of throws you out there right next to the wall.
Sanders and Rondeletto are both just creeping their way closer and closer to Rhett Nichols. It's under 0.3 of a second for the first time this run now between Sanders and Nichols. And Rondeletto is about 0.7 behind as well. So as lap number 91 goes up on the board, Rhett Nichols may be in a bit of danger here.
I'm curious when the last time our drivers here took a pit stop.
I'm not totally sure. I don't remember what lap everybody came down, but they all came at the same time, except for DL Lemon, who is, I think, still out on the same set of tires from lap, 13 is when he pit last. So
it looks like our top drivers here, the last time they came in was around lap 48, I think. So not on spring chicken rubber. If that definitely not. And once we get to the end of the race here, we're going to be right on that 75 lap marker that we were estimating for our pit stop. So that'll be interesting.
Peter Donchak now looms ahead of the race leaders. So we'll see how they dispatch of Peter Dunchek, who will be looking to go 4 laps down, or looking rather not to go 4 laps down, as it were. The only other drivers a lap down as Dunchek very graciously moves to the bottom of the track there to let the leaders roll through. The only other drivers that are a lap down are Charles Grove and Christian Jasper in 17th and 18th. Dunchek, the last car running, in P19. We've had retirements from Pastor, DeMade, Tucker, Lopez, and a DNS from Jeremy Lapanis. So he will have to wait to make his debut some other time, and we look forward to it. But as they roll around Richmond here on lap number 97, it is still Rhett Nichols in control of his first Daredevil race here tonight. And heavy lap traffic now ahead of the race leaders. They're going to catch them here in just a handful of laps, if not this lap. It'll be Charles Grove again. Christian Jasper is ahead, as well as Christopher Kresge, Neil Lusher, Hugo Galaz are some of the first drivers here that will fall victim to the race leaders.
And as we're going to hit lap traffic, Sanders had closed that gap up to only 0.2 of a second, and Rondeletto dropped back a little bit back to 0.8.
Caution is out. Caution is out on the speedway as well. We've got multiple cars around in number 2. Neil Lemon is involved.
And that's Alex Teeter also.
Oh, come on. Not Alex Teeter. I think we cursed him. Or I cursed him, rather.
We'll see what happens. I think it might have been a single car incident from Teeter, and then Lemon was trying to avoid. We're going to go back here and take a look.
Teeter went around first. Lemon just happened to go around at the exact same time. Matthew Short kicks a field goal between them. So 3 points for Matthew Short.
So there's Teeter. He's in the red car. And Lemon's going to go around. Here comes Short in the purple car, and you're right. Just goes right in between them.
I think he's going to pit for a change of underwear here. Under caution.
As Rhett Nichols is going to come down pit road. This is interesting. This is going to be a split decision between some of our top drivers here.
Nichols is the only one that came down out of the leaders. Sanders stays out, as Loretto. Christopher Hill stays out. I mean, yeah. I'm not knocking the strategy. We have to see how it's going to play out.
Yeah, I mean,
but the fact of the matter is that Rhett Nichols from the lead is the only driver in the top 10 to hit pit road.
7 of the top 8 stayed out. Rhett Nichols is the only one that came into pit out of the top 8, and then pretty much almost everybody else on the lead lap behind him came in as well.
Yeah, so Nate Siefker and Michael DeTurk, I think we're running, 7th and 8th, 6th and 7th? They came in as well as Nichols. And then Matthew Short came in as well.
So we had a few more stay out that was actually behind them then. Maybe a Cedro Miranda. All right, well, we're going to see how much tire wear is going to play a part in the finish of this race now, as we are probably going to go green with about 21, maybe 22 laps to go.
And keep an eye on the timer here. We've got around 7 minutes left. Sim is still saying we can get all 125 laps in. I mean, they are short laps around here, around Richmond, averaging around 146 miles an hour. So pretty zippy around the 3/4 mile virtual Richmond Raceway. But, yeah, we saw it win the race for Dakota DeMade at Rockingham last season. If you recall, DeMade and I think Kyle Gretsch were the only 2 drivers to come into pit when there were about 10 laps, or 10 cars left, rather. And they finished 1-2 in that race, DeMade over Gretsch, albeit there were only 4 cars left at the end of the race. But it still was the winning strategy. More cars to pass here at Richmond, shorter laps. We'll have to see how it plays out. Well, Rhett Nichols just came over the radio and says, I have to win this race, otherwise I'm going to feel stupid.
Well, Michael the Turk came into pit as well, and we know he does quite a bit of testing with these cars. I would imagine if anybody knows the tire wear around these parts, it would be him. So if, he's coming into pit, I would feel pretty decent about my decision.
And Nichols, out of the top 3 runners on that last green flag stint, seemed to be the one that had the most problems managing the tires. So it does make sense that he came into pit to get fresh rubber, especially with unlimited tires, but it's just not a whole lot of time to try and recuperate the losses here, as he is going to line up for this restart in position number 8. He'll have Siefker behind him in 9th, Matthew Short in 10th, and I think Michael the Turk deliberately came last off of pit road. Either that or he picked up a penalty because he is in 14th. But up front, Gavin Sanders is back in control. This one leading Octavio Rondeletto. Christopher Hill is on the bronze medal step on the podium with James Watson, Wes A. Shire rounding out your top 5, just like they were at the last restart in Charlotte. Here we go, back to the green flag. Lap 105, we got 21 to go. Whoa, Hill!
Got one on the apron.
That was Hill. He'll now have Watson, who's outside as the caution is out again. It's the Turk. It's the Turk. Again.
Oh.
And it was Christian Jasper, the other driver, involved in that.
And D.L. Lemon jumped to the pits as well, so Lemon also involved. Let's go.
So I think what you're going to see happen here was Jasper, who was a lap down, goes high. The Turk actually with a solo spin on the bottom, and Lemon, absolutely nowhere to go, is ramp up over the front of Michael the Turks. And, oh my.
We saw this happen with Lopez. As soon as Lopez came in to take tires, when the very first lap when he came back out, he self-spun again. So these cars on cold tires, you got to be real careful. As Lemon just ramps himself right up into the catch fence off of the front of the Turk.
So no 0-0 qualification for DL Lemon this week. And a bitter exchange on the radio. We'll just keep it at that. Actually, not on the radio, in the race chat itself. But that's neither here nor there. It is Gavin Sanders still in control, looking for anybody to jump down pit road here. And it is not going to happen. So Red Nichols did not go up a spot on that restart. He had hardly any time to do so. Sim is actually still saying that we can get all 125 in, which I find hard to believe at this point. But we should restart with about 4 minutes left to go. And somewhere in the realm of 15 laps, I guess.
We know how finicky the timing can be in iRacing, so
yeah.
There may actually be more time left than you think, but I do know that I think it's supposed to end at 8 o'clock. So if that were the case, if we were able to go all the way to the end of 8 o'clock, we would have 8 minutes left. But I do think it stops a little bit before then, so we will have to see. And that
all right, everybody hanging
Central
out.
Time.
Yeah, 8 o'clock Central Time. Everybody hanging out with us, put your bets in the chat. Who we think is going to walk away with the victory here tonight. Is it going to be Sanders taking his first victory? Will it be Rondeletto's second win of the season? Will it be James Watson's second win of the season? He's up to P3 now after the bobble from Christopher Hill. I think I'm with you, or at least something you said earlier about track position. Sanders, I think, is still pretty good at this part of the run. He's been getting away pretty nicely.
Yeah, I think it's going to take it's going to take a perfect restart, I believe, for Rondeletto to get by Sanders, because I just don't think he's going to be able to get a run on him at any point to actually complete a pass. And even if he does, I don't think Sanders is going to give him the inside. I mean, we've seen that pretty much the only way to make a pass stick is on the inside, but you got to be able to get there to make it happen. And I have a hard time believing Sanders is going to just give that to him. So it's a tall task to pass Sanders here in the front.
I tell you what, here on lap 110, I'd say we've seen about 109 laps of giving, but we might be due for about 15 laps of taking. It's about that time. As Nichols with the best tires in the field, starting at 8th. You have Siefker right behind him in 9th, but they have a lot of work to do to get to the front. It's Sanders leading Rondeletto, Watson, Hill, Shire. And a good start for Sanders. Rondeletto spins the tires just a touch. He's got about a car length and a half advantage heading into turn number 1. Well, he opens that gap up even more down the back straightaway as thinks about having to go around the outside. Oh, Watson now is going to get swallowed up by Christopher Hill. Rondeletto is going to hang on to second. Whoa, Hill's around! There he goes!
And I believe there are a couple of others tagged there as well. We see another one back in the back.
Wesley Shire got a piece of it as he was the first car right onto the scene.
And man, these restarts have certainly been chaotic. This is Hill on the inside here. And we're going to see another self-spin from Hill. He's going to wash down onto the apron and then back up the track. Wesley Shire with nowhere to go gets into the back of him.
3.5 minutes left. This will come down to the time limit. It's just a question now of where are we going to drop the checkered flag.
Shire did keep it out of the wall, so a really great job and drive by Shire to keep it out of the wall there.
Shire's needed a good bounce back week after the end of the last week's race, or the last race, I suppose. No matter how you felt about the move, it did happen. He did cross the line in first, but had the win taken away from him by the incident point system.
And at the same time, I noticed that there were a couple of other drivers with incidents. Alex Teeter and Charles Grove both went around behind Christopher Hill pretty much on their own. Alex Teeter was definitely on his own. Charles Grove, I'm not sure if he just got hard on the brakes to maybe avoid, but he wasn't that close, so it could have been a self-spin, maybe not. But these restarts are very hard on these drivers, very difficult here.
So I cannot tell if the lights are still on the pace car or not. They are, rather. So we'll have at least one more lap under caution here. The sim is starting to tick away the laps now, so the most we can get is 1 lap short, 124. That number is going to continue to drop here as we work under the caution flag here. So in theory, we'll be restarting on lap number 117, going to lap number 124. As there's a 55-minute time limit here in the sim. Actually, that number has now dropped to 123, so it's probably going to fall now again to lap 122 by the time we get back around to take the green flag here.
Yeah, we see the lights are still on the pace car. So,
oh, my goodness.
We have at least one. Well, we're going to have this one. We're going to have at least 2 more pace laps here.
Rhett Nichols has called out over the radio that he is going to have a fist fight with Nate Siefker in the pits after the race. He actually called him Nate Sefker. So, and Nate Siefker was not very happy about that. So they will be fighting on the pits lane after the race. So
well,
everybody has that to look forward to.
Yeah, we'll make sure we try to get a good shot of that. Might have to cut our leader and winner interview short to catch a glimpse of that one.
I think what we're going to have here is about a 3-lap dash to the finish, as the lights should be out around the track this time, and I believe they are. So restart on lap 118, probably coming to lap 120. And it is Sanders, Rondeletto, Watson now in third. Boy, what a big day it could be for Watson if he can go back-to-back, but he's got to pass Rondeletto and Sanders to do that.
And this is going to be an ever-important restart here, as we don't even know how many laps we have left because of the time limit.
In theory, it should be 3 to go. I'll let you know if that changes here as they hit the restart zone. Green flag. 2 to go. 2 laps to go for Gavin Sanders. Rondeletto under fire from Watson. Watson takes a peek to the outside. Rondeletto has the run off the bottom. He's going to hang on to second. Does he have enough time to gather it up to get after for the win? Let's go round again. More problems further back in the pack. The white flag is out. Or was that the checkers? I think that was the end of the race.
That was the end of the race.
Oh,
that
my
was
gosh.
just a 1-lap dash. And we saw Rondeletto got really loose there into 3 and then out of 4. And I think Watson ended up getting around him.
He did. So, coming around out of turn number 4, officially, his first career RIL Daredevil Series victory. It's Gavin Sanders with the win at Richmond. James Watson takes it from Rondeletto at the line. We may have found our championship frontrunners for the season. So Rondeletto is going to lose 100 points to James Watson, but still hold on to the points lead. Watson in second. Rondeletto rounds out the podium in P3. Wes A. Shire, Nate Siefker in spot number 5. As we watch the celebrations here for Gavin Sanders, he will park it in victory lane as we wait for the drivers to queue up and waiting for interview. Let's go ahead and give you the rest of the finishing order here as Rhett Nichols, a valiant effort after putting on the new tires late, but he manages to get up only to P6, but a good debut nevertheless for Rhett Nichols after being out front, leading a lot of laps here tonight. Bruno Miranda, a quiet night for the Storm, but he finishes P7. Our driver to watch here tonight after not qualifying, Matthew Short, goes from 21st to 8th. He is the hard charger here tonight. Christopher Kresge, another good run for him. He goes P9 here in Richmond tonight. And rounding out your top 10, Hugo Galaz is back in the top 10 tonight. So that's good for him. Neil Lusher then in spot number 11. Christopher Hill will finish in 12th. Nicholas Isidro in 13th. Then we get to the cars that finish 1 lap down or more. Christian Jasper in 14th. Alex Teeter in spot number 15. Then it is Charles Grove 3 laps down in 16th. Peter Donchak 4 laps down in 17th. And then DNFs from the following. DL Lemon in 18th. Michael DeTurk, another bad string of luck for him to finish P19 here tonight. Julian Martinez Pastor in P20. Dakota DeMade 21st. Joshua Tucker in 22nd. Bless Lopez. The final car running here in position number 23. I see Gavin Sanders in waiting for interview, hoping to catch either James Watson or Octavio Rondeletto before we pull in our race winner, but I'm not going to wait too much longer for them to pop in here. We'll just have to do it out of order if they don't get in here in the next 3, 2, 1. All right, so on air producing. Oh, there goes Rondeletto. Okay, so we're Octavio Rondeletto right now. It is a 3rd place finish here tonight for Octavio Rondeletto. And a hard-fought 3rd place for you here tonight. Congratulations. A great run all night long.
Hello, guys. Thank you. Yeah, the race was difficult with dirty air here, and I tried to do my best. The team didn't have the best race, but this podium allowed me to stay in the point leader. And okay, I'm fine with the result.
Was the race as crazy as you thought it was going to be?
No, I thought that the race will be like that because I knew the car is difficult here, too much power, and the dirty air is so hard here. Well, my tires were destroyed in the last lap. I tried to stay in my line and maintain the car to finish the race. That was hard, but I could do it.
Well, congratulations. Who do you want to thank here tonight?
To the team, my family, they were watching the race. I want to congratulate the winner, the second place, Bruno, for the result, and to you guys for the broadcast.
Well, thank you very much. Congratulations, and have a good rest of your night.
Thank you, Doug.
Alrighty, so that was Octavio Rondeletto. Let's go ahead and bring up your runner-up, and it's another podium. Another week of crossing the line in second, but this time you're actually going to finish in second. It's James Watson, race fans. Congratulations on a really hard-fought second place here tonight. And you just steadily crept your way up the leaderboard all night long, and it results in a P2. Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm super excited and surprised about that. I was excited going into tonight because I'm normally a short track guy at heart, so anytime it's a short track, I tend to be a little more competitive, but I wasn't really matching anyone's times in practice, so I wasn't really expecting much, and then somehow put it P6 and was just steadily staying alive, picking people off, and somehow wound up second.
Matt, you got anything for James here?
Yeah, I had a question about pit strategy. We saw some drivers come in. Rhett Nichols being one of the most prominent that came in, with about 25 laps to go. Did you ever think about coming in, or from my perspective, it looked like track position was way more important than tires here. Did you ever think about coming into pit there, or did you want that track position all the way?
Yeah, no, it was track position for sure because if you had a lot of laps left in the race, it was a good decision to come and take tires, but it took around like 10-15 laps for them to really come in, so that on top of it just not being easy to pass, it just did not make sense to me to come in to take tires. Just hold on for the best, because when they cool down, they kind of get back into a better operating window, so that also factors to the whole it not ending well if you take tires with 25 to go.
Well, I think the highlight of my race, outside of anything that happened on the track, was anytime there was any crashing or drama over the radio, you spamming your discount code in the chat. I really appreciated that. But
okay, so I used to have "Oh God, Mass Chaos" keybind for that. I was too stupid to remember that keybind is no longer there and where I reassigned it to. So yeah, same thing still stands though. Want to join the wild side of setups? Check out teamwatsonracing.com and use code WATSPIN39 for 5% off checkout.
There you go. I think it's a good discount and it's a good meme. I think you've got both
right?
sides of the coin, so I think
Right?
you're covered. But anybody else you want to thank here tonight from second place?
I gotta thank Let's Race, Chris Graham and NRN for always supporting me. ZAS Designs for doing most of my schemes, although Sunset Arctic Graphics did do this amazing shiny spec map car. And Mart Sports 906 sim racing apparel. They got awesome sim racing gloves.
Alrighty, there you go. Second place finish. Great follow up to your win last race, and go party hard once again. You've earned it. Congratulations.
So yeah, you know it. Thank you guys.
That was your second place finisher, and we've got a first time race winner with the Daredevils, and that is Gavin Sanders. Welcome back to Daredevil competition, and congratulations on the win here tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, it's nice to finally be able to make one.
So you seem to have quite the pace there in the middle and the end of the runs. What were those tires like towards the end of those runs? They had to be like driving on stones there after a while.
Yeah, it was not a whole lot of fun. You just had to manage the downshift, and you wouldn't get too much rear slide, and then from there it kind of turned into just general speed over the course of the run. But yeah, managing it. I mean, once we got through to a solid green run, it seemed like we might have had something for Rhett, and then obviously he buried himself, unfortunately, and. Not unfortunately for me, but unfortunately for him, and and yeah, we were able to make it happen. I mean, the last few laps are pretty sketchy. Once the fuel burns off in these things, it's quite the machine to rip around. It's full white knuckles, but otherwise not too bad.
Hey Matt, what do you got for our race winner here?
Gavin, just a congratulations. It's always great to have you out here running with the Daredevil series. We're glad to have you here tonight, and great that you could finally put it on the top step of the podium. Great to see you up here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, I've been only caught out a few times by the minor intricacies of this car, but finally it didn't bite me, and I actually didn't go flying into the grandstand in one of these races.
I think we've all around cursed you up until this because we filled in for a couple of Schaefer's broadcasts on Raceverse as well, and I think you got wrecked out by other people in both of those races as well. Yeah. So good that we could break that for you here tonight.
Yeah, who do you broken.
Yeah. Who do you want to thank here tonight?
Big shout out to Team Raceverse, Sunset Arctic Graphics, buy Echo Blade on Steam, and yeah, I mean, thanks to you guys for putting on a great broadcast, and hopefully we'll be able to meet again at the next one.
I was going to say, how often are we going to see you down the road here in the rest of the Daredevil season?
In theory, I should be able to make all of them. It's just more of a matter of how many times I'll be able to finish them.
Well, this is a good way to start things off. So hopefully all finishes from here on out, whether first or 30th, I suppose. But
yeah,
a great win here tonight. Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Oh, man. All right. We've this race, honestly, I felt very weird after the Charlotte. Not just because I had driven in it, but just everything just felt so kind of wrong. Everybody was mad at each other. It just wasn't a good vibe. I mean, I haven't looked to see if the Discord is on fire this time, but this race feels a lot better. It sits a lot better in my stomach. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, what we talked about before the race and what actually transpired was not really what we were expecting. I mean, we saw a few self spins, but I really thought we would see some bumping and banging there on those restarts, and really didn't see any of that. So, I mean, great clean driving from our drivers here. Really only self spins that caused any accidents. So I think the off week was much needed, and we came to a short track, and everybody played pretty nice. A lot of respect given to each other here tonight. So I'm certainly excited to see what happens here for the rest of the season with some clean racing for sure.
Absolutely. We mentioned it in our pre-race, and Gary Godso brought it up in the Discord server as well. The first time that the RIL Schaefer's IndyCar Series came here, and the only time, 19 cautions for 95 laps. Tonight, I think we had 7 cautions for 35, which isn't ideal, but it's certainly better than the IndyCar race that happened here. So a lot better. Any closing thoughts here before we pack it up?
I mean, just want to thank everybody that watches the broadcast. We have a lot of great drivers with families and friends that watch our broadcast. So thanks to the drivers for sending links out to family and friends to watch us here. We have some stuff hopefully in the works here on Turn 200 going into 2023. So stay tuned for that. But just excited for the rest of this season, and thanks to everybody for coming out.
Not only some things in the works, but some things that you can be a part of as well. We'll have more on that as the weeks roll along here for season number 2 of the RIL Daredevil series. We will be back in action again next Wednesday night, same time, not the same place. We're going to Dakota DeMade's favorite track, and that is Mid-Ohio. So back on the left and right next Wednesday. Oh my gosh, if I could talk. So more road cars action in our future. But some partying in the future of one driver in particular, that is Gavin Sanders, as he wins tonight at virtual Richmond Raceway. So for everybody with Turn 200, for Mr. Matt Williamson, the greatest stream producer of all time, I have been Tommy Cook, and thanks again to everybody tonight for watching and partying along with us here on Turn 200. So until we meet again, we hope to see you back in Mid-Ohio next week. But congratulations to our podium finishers from Richmond tonight. It's Rondeletto in third, Watson in second, and Gavin Sanders, your winner.